The night air in rural Uganda smelled like rain and burning wood. Kisa Nambi wiped sweat from her forehead as she locked up the tiny village clinic. Her worn sandals kicked up red dust with each step. She was tired, bone tired, the kind of tired that comes from delivering 3 babies in one day with nothing but her hands and prayers. But then she heard it. The screech of tires, metal crushing, glass exploding, and then silence. The kind of silence that screams louder than any sound. Kisa dropped her bag and ran. Her heart pounded like drums in her chest. Smoke rose from the bend in the dirt road, thick and black against the moonlight. When she got closer, her breath caught in her throat. A silver car, expensive looking, wrapped around a massive tree. Flames licked at the hood, and inside, slumped over the wheel, was a man. Blood dripped from his forehead. His eyes were closed. He wasn't moving. Most people would have run the other way. Most people would have called for help and waited. But Kisa wasn't most people. She grabbed a rock and smashed the window. The heat burned her arms as she reached inside, pulling at his body with everything she had. He was heavy, so heavy, but she didn't stop. She dragged him away from the wreck just as the car exploded behind them. The blast threw her forward. Her ears rang, her hands bled, but the man was breathing, barely. She looked down at his face. Even covered in blood and dirt, she could tell he wasn't from here. His skin was pale, his features sharp and unfamiliar. Korean, maybe? His clothes were expensive, designer labels she'd only seen in magazines that tourists left behind. "Who are you?" she whispered, but he couldn't answer. He was unconscious, dying. Kisa made a choice. She couldn't take him to the village hospital. It was 30 miles away and he'd be dead before they got there. So she did the only thing she could. She dragged him to her grandmother's house. And that's where everything changed. Because this wasn't just any man. This was Jinwoo Park, heir to the Park Industries empire, a billionaire prince from Seoul. And Kisa had just saved his life, without knowing she'd also just stepped into a world that would try to destroy her. Hey, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button right now, because this story is about to get wild. And drop a comment telling me, have you ever helped a stranger without knowing who they really were? Let's see those stories. Now, back to Kisa and Jinwoo. Kisa's grandmother, Mama Esther, didn't ask questions. She just helped. Together, they carried the unconscious man into the small house. The walls were made of clay and wood. The roof leaked when it rained, but it was home, and tonight it was a hospital. Kisa worked fast. She cleaned his wounds with boiled water and herbs, stitched the gash on his forehead meant for mending clothes, wrapped his ribs that she suspected were broken. Her hands shook the whole time, not from fear, from adrenaline, from the weight of knowing one wrong move could kill him. "Child," Mama Esther whispered, holding the oil lamp closer. "This man is not one of us. His clothes alone could feed our village for a year. Who is he?" "I don't know, Grandma," she said, wiping blood from her hands. "But he's human, and he was dying. That's all that matters." The old woman shook her head, but said nothing more. She'd raised Kisa to be kind, to be strong, to never turn away from someone in need. Even if that someone was a stranger from a world they'd never understand. Hours passed. Kisa sat beside the man, checking his pulse, watching his chest rise and fall. She'd seen death before, too many times. Children who didn't make it, mothers who bled out during birth, elders who simply closed their eyes and never opened them again. But something about this man made her fight harder. Maybe it was the way he'd gripped her wrist in the car, even while unconscious, like he was holding on to life through her. Maybe it was the desperation in his eyes before they closed. Or maybe it was something else, something she couldn't name yet. When dawn broke, his eyes opened, dark, intense, confused. "Where am I?" His voice was rough, broken. He spoke English, but with an accent she'd only heard on TV. "You're safe," Kisa said quickly, moving closer. "You had an accident. Your car. It crashed. I brought you here." He tried to sit up, but winced, pain shooting through his body. Kisa pushed him back down gently, but firmly. "Don't move. You have broken ribs. Maybe internal bleeding. You need to rest." He stared at her, really stared, like he was trying to figure out if she was real. His eyes moved over her face, her worn dress, the simple room with its cracked walls and dirt floor. "How long have I been here?" he asked. "One night. It's morning now." He closed his eyes, breathing hard. Then he opened them again, panic flashing across his face. "My phone. Where's my phone? I need to make a call." Kisa shook her head. "Your phone was destroyed in the crash. Everything was." "No!" His voice rose, urgent now. "You don't understand. I need to contact someone. Anyone. I need—" "What you need," Kisa interrupted, her voice firm, "is to stay alive. Whatever you think is important can wait. Right now, your body is broken, and if you don't rest, you'll die. Is that what you want?" He stared at her, shocked. No one spoke to him like that, ever. But this girl, this stranger in a village he didn't even know the name of, looked at him like he was just another patient. Not special, not powerful, just human. Something in his chest tightened. Not from pain, from something else. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. "Kisa. Kisa Nambi." "Kisa," he repeated, testing the sound. "I'm Jinwoo, Jinwoo Park." She nodded, but the name meant nothing to her. No recognition, no awe. She just turned back to her herbs, crushing them into a paste for his wounds. Jinwoo watched her work. Her hands were small but strong, capable, confident. She moved like someone who'd done this 1,000 times, saving lives, fighting death, and she'd done it for him, a stranger, without asking for anything in return. "Why did you save me?" he asked suddenly. Kisa paused, looking up at him. "Because you needed help. That's what I do. But you don't know me. I could be dangerous. I could be anyone." "Could be," she agreed. "But you were also dying, and I'm a nurse. I don't ask questions when someone needs saving. I just save them." Jinwoo's throat tightened. In his world, people saved you because they wanted something. Money, power, connections. But this girl saved him simply because it was the right thing to do. It was the most honest thing anyone had ever done for him. "Thank you," he whispered. Kisa nodded. "Rest now. We'll talk later." But they wouldn't just talk later, because outside, in the village, people had already started whispering. They'd seen the smoke, seen Kisa dragging a strange man through the darkness, and whispers in a small village spread faster than fire. By noon, half the village stood outside Mama Esther's house, curious and cautious. Some wanted to help, others wanted answers, and a few wanted the stranger gone. "Kisa Nambi," Chief Okello called, his deep voice booming. "Come out here now." Kisa stepped outside, squinting in the bright sun. The crowd parted for the chief, a tall man with gray in his beard and authority in his eyes. "What have you brought into this village, child?" he demanded. "A man who needed help," Kisa said simply. "He was in an accident. He would have died." "And who is he? Where is he from?" "I don't know. He's foreign. Korean, I think. But he's hurt. He needs time to heal." The chief's eyes narrowed. Foreign men bring foreign trouble. What if he's running from something? What if danger follows him here? Kisa lifted her chin. "Then we'll deal with it, but I won't throw out a dying man just because we're afraid of what might happen." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some nodded in agreement. Others shook their heads. But Mama Esther stepped forward, her cane striking the ground. My granddaughter saved a life. That is not a crime. That is not shame. That is what we teach our children to do. If you want to judge her for having a good heart, then judge yourselves first. The crowd fell silent. Chief Okello stared at the old woman, then at Kisa. Finally, he nodded. Fine, the stranger can stay. But you are responsible for him, Kisa. Whatever happens, it's on your head. I understand, Kisa said. The crowd dispersed slowly, still whispering. Kisa went back inside, her heart pounding. She knew this was risky, knew it could bring trouble, but she couldn't just let him die. That wasn't who she was. Inside, Jinwoo had heard everything. He'd understood enough to know that Kisa was risking a lot for him, more than she should, more than anyone ever had. You didn't have to do that, he said when she came back. Yes, I did, Kisa replied, checking his bandages. Besides, I told them you'd leave once you're better, so don't make me a liar. Jinwoo almost smiled. I'll leave, I promise, but not until I repay you. I don't want your money, Kisa said quickly. I wasn't talking about money. She looked at him, confused, but Jinwoo didn't explain. He just closed his eyes, exhausted, but strangely at peace. For the first time in years, someone had cared about him without wanting anything in return, and that was worth more than all his billions. Days passed. Jinwoo's strength slowly returned. Kisa checked on him every morning before heading to the clinic. She brought him food, changed his bandages, and made sure he didn't do anything stupid, like try to walk too soon. But she also kept her distance. She was kind, yes. Professional, yes. But there was a wall between them. A wall built from the reality that they came from two different worlds. Worlds that were never meant to touch. Jinwoo noticed, and it frustrated him. Not because he was used to people fawning over him, though that was true, but because he wanted to know her, really know her. The girl who'd risked everything for a stranger. Tell me about yourself, he said one morning while she was crushing herbs. There's nothing to tell, Kisa replied without looking up. Everyone has a story. Mine is boring. I work, I sleep, I work some more. That's it. Why did you become a nurse? Kisa paused, her hands stilled. For a moment, Jinwoo thought she wouldn't answer, but then she spoke, her voice soft. My mother died giving birth to my younger brother. The clinic here didn't have enough supplies. No blood, no medicine, nothing. She bled out while we watched. I was 12. I promised myself that day that I'd never let it happen again, that I'd learn, that I'd save people. So that's what I do. Jinwoo's chest tightened. I'm sorry. Kisa shrugged. It's life. People die, people are born. We just do the best we can in between. And your brother, the one your mother died for. Her face softened. He's alive. Healthy, smart. He's at school in the city now. I send him money every month. You must be proud. I am. She finally looked at him. What about you? What's your story? Jinwoo hesitated. He'd spent his whole life lying about who he was, hiding, protecting himself from people who only wanted his money or his name. But something about Kisa made him want to be honest. He said, I come from a powerful family, wealthy. My father owns a large company in Seoul. I was supposed to take over, but I ran. I didn't want that life, the pressure, the expectations. So I came here, to Africa, to disappear for a while. It wasn't the whole truth, but it was more than he'd told anyone in years. Kisa nodded slowly. And that's why you crashed. You were running. Yes. From what? From being someone I don't want to be. She studied him for a long moment. Then she went back to her herbs. Well, you can't run forever, she said quietly. Eventually, you have to face who you are. Jinwoo said nothing, because she was right, and that terrified him. 2 weeks after the accident, Jinwoo was strong enough to walk. Slowly, carefully, but he walked. Kisa watched from the doorway as he took his first steps outside, blinking in the bright sunlight. The village children spotted him immediately. They stared, wide-eyed and curious. This strange man, with pale skin and strange clothes. He looked like someone from a TV show. "Hello," Jinwoo said, awkwardly waving. The children giggled and ran closer. One brave little girl tugged on his sleeve. "Are you a ghost?" she asked in broken English. Jinwoo blinked, then laughed. A real laugh, the first one in months. "No, I'm not a ghost. I'm just different." "Where are you from?" another child asked. "Korea, very far away." "Did you come in a flying machine?" "Something like that." Kisa watched from the doorway with a small smile on her face. Seeing Jinwoo with the children made him seem more human, less like a mysterious stranger, more like just a man far from home. But that peace didn't last long, because that evening, everything changed. A sleek black car rolled into the village, expensive, out of place, the kind of car that didn't belong on dirt roads. It stopped in front of Mama Esther's house, and 2 men in suits stepped out. They wore sunglasses, even though the sun was setting. Their faces were hard, cold. "We're looking for Jinwoo Park," one of them said in English. The villagers who had gathered stared, uneasy. Chief Okello stepped forward. "Who's asking?" "We're his security team. We've been searching for him. We tracked his phone's last location to this area." Jinwoo appeared in the doorway, his face pale. Not from pain, from fear. "How did you find me?" he asked quietly. "Your family sent us. They've been worried sick. We need to take you home, sir." "I'm not going back." The lead guard's jaw tightened. "With all due respect, Mr. Park, you don't have a choice. Your father has been very clear. You're needed in Seoul immediately." Kisa stepped forward, her heart pounding. "He's not fully healed. He needs more time." The guard glanced at her, his expression dismissive. "And who are you?" "I'm his nurse. I saved his life." "Then you've done your job. We'll take it from here." Jinwoo's hands clenched into fists. He looked at Kisa, something desperate in his eyes. Then he looked back at the guards. "Give me 1 more week," he said. "Then I'll go, willingly." The guards exchanged glances. Finally, the leader nodded. 1 week, but we'll be staying nearby to ensure your safety." They left, but the message was clear. Jinwoo's time here was running out. That night, Kisa couldn't sleep. She sat outside, staring at the stars. She heard footsteps and turned to see Jinwoo sitting beside her. "You're leaving," she said. It wasn't a question. "I have to. My family, they won't stop until I come back." "Then go." "It's not that simple." "Yes, it is. You have a life back there, responsibilities. This was just a detour." Jinwoo turned to her, his eyes burning in the darkness. "You think that's all this was? A detour?" Kisa didn't answer, because if she did, she'd have to admit the truth. That in 2 weeks, this stranger had become more than just a patient. He'd become something she couldn't name, something dangerous. "I don't belong in your world, and you don't belong in mine. That's just how it is." Jinwoo wanted to argue, wanted to tell her she was wrong, but the words stuck in his throat, because deep down he knew she was right, and that's what hurt the most. The week passed too quickly. Jinwoo spent his days helping around the village. He carried water, fixed broken tools, played with children, and every evening he sat with Kisa, talking about everything and nothing. She told him about her dreams, about wanting to build a real clinic with proper equipment, medicine, doctors, a place where mothers didn't have to die because there wasn't enough blood. Jinwoo listened, really listened, and every word she spoke planted a seed in his mind, a plan, a way to repay her, a way to change her life the way she'd changed his. But he didn't tell her, not yet. On his last night, the village held a small farewell gathering. They roasted goat, played drums, danced under the stars. Jinwoo sat beside Kisa, watching the firelight play across her face. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for everything." "You already thanked me," she replied, not looking at him. "I know, but I don't think I'll ever be able to thank you enough." She finally turned to him. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Just promise me something. Anything. Don't forget this place. Don't forget us. Don't let your big life make you forget that there are people here who matter too." Jinwoo's throat tightened. "I could never forget you." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Kisa looked away quickly, her heart pounding. She couldn't let herself feel this, couldn't let herself hope, because hope was dangerous when it came to men like him. The next morning, the black car returned. Jinwoo stood in front of Mama Esther's house, dressed in clean clothes the guards had brought. He looked like himself again, polished, powerful, untouchable. But when he looked at Kisa, all of that fell away. "This isn't goodbye," he said. "Yes, it is," she replied, her voice steady even though her heart was breaking. Jinwoo stepped closer, so close she could feel his breath. "I'll come back, I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep." "I never do." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small piece of paper. He pressed it into her hand. "This is my personal number, the only one that matters. If you ever need anything at all, you call me. Promise me." Kisa stared at the paper, then at him. Finally, she nodded. "I promise." Jinwoo smiled, a real, genuine smile. Then he turned and walked to the car. The door closed. The engine started, and just like that, he was gone. Kisa stood there long after the dust settled. The paper felt like fire in her hand. She opened it and saw the number, and beneath it, 3 words in his handwriting: "Wait for me." Her breath caught. She looked up at the empty road, tears finally spilling down her cheeks. She wanted to believe him, wanted to believe that a man from his world could come back to hers. But life had taught her that fairy tales didn't happen to girls like her. Still, she folded the paper carefully and put it in her pocket, close to her heart, just in case. If you've made it this far, you already know this story is just getting started. Subscribe right now and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Are you Team Kisa or Team Jinwoo? Drop your country below and let's see how far this story reaches. Now let's see what happens when Jinwoo returns to Seoul. Seoul, South Korea, a city of glass towers and neon lights, a city that never slept. Jinwoo stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of his penthouse, staring down at the streets below. Everything looked small from up here, insignificant, just like he felt. "You're back." Jinwoo turned to see his father, Chairman Park, standing in the doorway. The old man's face was hard, unreadable. He wore a perfectly tailored suit and an expression that said he was not pleased. "I'm back," Jinwoo confirmed. "Where were you?" "Africa, Uganda specifically." "Doing what?" "Nearly dying, then being saved by a village nurse." Chairman Park's eyes narrowed. "You're joking." "I'm not." Silence stretched between them. Finally, the chairman stepped into the room, his hands clasped behind his back. "You've been gone for 3 weeks. 3 weeks during critical negotiations with the Lee Corporation. Do you have any idea what that cost us? I was in a car accident, Father. I nearly died. And yet you didn't call, didn't send word. You just disappeared. Jinwoo's jaw clenched. I couldn't. My phone was destroyed. You could have found a way, but you didn't want to. You wanted to hide, like a child. The words stung because they were partly true. Jinwoo had wanted to disappear, to escape the weight of expectations, the endless pressure to be perfect, to be the heir his father wanted. I'm back now, Jinwoo said quietly. What do you want from me? I want you to do your job. I want you to take your place in this company, and I want you to stop running. Chairman Park turned to leave, then paused at the door. Oh, and there's a dinner party tomorrow night. The Lee family will be there, including their daughter, Se-yeon-ji. She's been asking about you. Jinwoo's stomach sunk. Se-yeon-ji Lee, beautiful, educated, from the right family. His father had been trying to match them for years. I'm not interested in Se-yeon-ji. Your interest is irrelevant. This is business. This is family. You'll attend, and you'll be charming. The door closed with a soft click. Jinwoo stood alone in the enormous penthouse, feeling more trapped than he ever had in that small village house in Uganda. He pulled out his phone and stared at it. He'd added Kissa's information, or rather, the village clinic's number. She didn't have a personal phone. He'd learned that her whole village shared maybe 3 phones between them. He wanted to call, wanted to hear her voice. But what would he say? That he missed her? That Seoul felt empty compared to sitting under the stars with her? That everything here felt fake? He couldn't say any of that, so he didn't call. Instead, he opened his laptop and started researching. Medical supplies, clinic construction, hospital equipment. By dawn, he had a plan, a way to keep his promise without betraying the life he'd been born into. The dinner party was exactly as Jinwoo expected. Fake smiles, polite conversation, everyone wanting something from him. Se-yeon-ji was there, wearing a designer dress and perfect makeup. She was beautiful. Anyone could see that. Jinwoo, she greeted him with a practiced smile. I heard about your accident. How terrifying. I survived, she said simply. Thanks to some village nurse I heard. How quaint. Something in her tone made Jinwoo's blood boil. The dismissive way she said village nurse, like Kissa was less than human, less than worthy. That village nurse saved my life, he said coldly. Show some respect. Se-yeon-ji blinked, surprised by his tone. I didn't mean any offense. Of course you didn't. The rest of the evening dragged on. Jinwoo made small talk, smiled when appropriate, played his part. But inside, he was counting the hours until he could leave. When he finally escaped to the balcony for air, his father found him. You were rude to Se-yeon-ji. I was honest. Don't confuse the two. Chairman Park lit a cigar, blowing smoke into the night air. That girl in Africa, the nurse, is she the reason you're acting like this? Jinwoo didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, she showed me what real kindness looks like, what it means to care about people without wanting anything in return, something I've never seen in this world. That's because this world runs on different rules. Rules you were born into. Rules you can't escape. Maybe I don't want to. His father's expression hardened. Then you're a fool. That girl, whoever she is, she comes from nothing. She has nothing. She is nothing in the grand scheme of things. Jinwoo turned to face his father, anger flashing in his eyes. She's worth more than everyone in that room combined, including you. The chairman's face went cold. Get out of my sight. Before I say something we'll both regret. Jinwoo left, but as he drove home through Seoul's bright streets, he made a decision. He'd play his father's game. He'd be the perfect heir, but on his terms. And step 1 was keeping his promise to Kissa. 3 months passed. Kissa threw herself into work. The clinic stayed busy. Children with malaria, women in labor, men with injuries from farming accidents. The same cycle, the same struggles. She tried not to think about Jinwoo, tried not to check the road every time she heard a car engine, tried not to look at the piece of paper with his number that she kept folded in her pocket. But she failed every single day. "You're distracted," Mama Esther observed one evening. "I'm fine. You're thinking about that Korean man." She didn't deny it. There was no point. Her grandmother knew her too well. "He's not coming back, Grandma. Men like him don't come back to places like this." Maybe, maybe not, but moping won't change anything. Live your life, child. If he returns, he returns. If he doesn't, you'll survive. You always do. Kissa nodded, but her heart felt heavy. She'd known better than to let herself hope, known better than to let him matter. But somehow, he'd gotten past her walls, and now she was paying the price. Then one afternoon, everything changed. Kissa was at the clinic when she heard the sound of trucks. Big trucks. She stepped outside and froze. A convoy of vehicles rolled into the village. Not just any vehicles. Construction trucks, supply trucks, and leading them, a sleek black car. The door opened, and Jinwoo stepped out. Kissa's heart stopped. He looked the same, and completely different. He wore expensive clothes, moved with confidence, but when his eyes found hers across the dusty square, something softened in them. "You came back," she whispered, even though he was too far away to hear. Jinwoo walked towards her, ignoring the crowd gathering around them. When he reached her, he smiled. "I made a promise." "What is all this?" Kissa asked, gesturing to the trucks. "Your clinic, or rather, what will become your clinic. I'm building it. Proper walls, equipment, medicine, everything you need, everything this village needs." Kissa's eyes filled with tears. "Jinwoo, I can't accept this. It's too much." "It's not enough. Not for what you did for me. Not for what you showed me." He stepped closer, his voice dropping. "You saved my life, Kissa. Let me give you your dream." Around them, villagers began to understand what was happening. Excited chatter rose. Children jumped and clapped. Even Chief Okello looked impressed. But Kissa could only stare at Jinwoo, her heart torn between gratitude and something deeper, something dangerous. "Why?" she asked quietly. "Why would you do all this?" Jinwoo's eyes met hers, and in that moment, she saw the truth he'd been holding back. "Because I fell in love with you," he said simply, "and I couldn't stay away." The world seemed to tilt. Kissa's breath caught. All around them, people gasped and whispered, but she barely heard them. "You don't mean that," she said, her voice shaking. "I've never meant anything more." "Jinwoo, we're from different worlds. You said it yourself. You have a life and soul, responsibilities, a father who expects things from you. And I'll handle all of that, but I'm not giving you up, not without a fight." Before Kissa could respond, one of Jinwoo's assistants approached, bowing slightly. "Sir, the construction team is ready to begin. They just need approval on the site location." Jinwoo turned to Kissa. "Show them where you want it." Kissa's mind spun. This was happening, really happening. A real clinic with real supplies. Everything she'd ever dreamed of. And the man who'd made it possible was standing in front of her, claiming he loved her. It felt like too much, like a dream she'd wake up from any moment. But it wasn't a dream. It was real, and terrifying, and wonderful. Over the next few weeks, construction began. Jinwoo stayed in the village, overseeing everything personally. He slept in a small tent, ate village food, and worked alongside the construction crew. The villagers warmed to him quickly. He wasn't the arrogant, rich man they'd expected. He was kind, humble, willing to get his hands dirty. And every evening, he and Kissa sat together, talking under the stars like they had before. "Your father must hate this," Kissa said one night. "He does. He's threatened to cut me off, disown me, but I don't care." "You should care. That's your family." "You're right, but you know what I learned while I was gone? Family isn't just blood. It's the people who show up for you, who save you when you're dying, who believe in you even when you don't believe in yourself." He looked at her. "You're my family now, Kissa." Tears pricked her eyes. "Don't say things like that." "Why not?" "Because I might start to believe you, and when you leave again, it'll hurt even more." Jinwoo took her hand. "I'm not leaving. Not this time. Not without you." But even as he said it, both of them knew the truth. The world wouldn't let them be together easily. Jinwoo's father was powerful, his family had expectations, and Kissa was just a village nurse with nothing to her name. The obstacles were massive, but so was what they felt for each other. And sometimes, love is worth fighting for, even when the odds are impossible. The clinic was finished in 6 weeks, a beautiful building with white walls, solar panels, and enough equipment to serve the entire region. The day it opened, the whole village celebrated. Kissa stood in the main room, tears streaming down her face. This was it, her dream, real and solid and here. Jinwoo stood beside her, smiling. "What do you think?" "I think I don't deserve this. You deserve everything." She turned to him, her heart full to bursting. "Thank you for all of it." "Thank you," replied he, "for showing me what really matters." They stood there, surrounded by people, but feeling like they were the only two in the world. And for that moment, everything was perfect. But perfect moments never last. Because that evening, a car arrived. Not construction vehicles this time, a luxury sedan. And stepping out was a woman Jinwoo recognized immediately. Se-Yun Lee. His father had sent her, and the battle for Jinwoo's heart was about to begin. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Should Jinwoo stay with Kissa or go back to Seoul? Let us know. And if you want to see part 2 of this story, hit that like button. Thanks for watching.